What's up, everybody? Time for another Buoy 10 update. Today is August 3rd, and as mentioned in yesterday's update, I plan to go out in the ocean, and then that's exactly what we did. So here's how the day laid out. We went back to where we were getting them there at the weather buoy south of the red line at the 46029 buoy, and it was quiet. It kind of seemed like the fish were full, like they actually were not eating hardly at all, like they stuffed themselves over the last couple of days, because there were plenty of fish in my active target. I saw them swimming through the gear, but they just were not active or aggressive. They were just kind of chilling, hanging out, and would not commit. They would follow the gear forever, just on it, on it, on it. I'll try and get some video to show you guys too at some point, but they're just nosed up to it. They're swimming around it. They just will not bite. So we sat there for a while, and I'm ADD on top of being an impatient fisherman, or maybe that's why I'm an impatient fisherman, but I can't sit there and just see fish not bite. I had to do something different. So we decided to run back towards the red line and look for some current, hoping that current will get their fins moving and get them active and at least a bit more aggressive. And we did that close to the tide change at the bottom of the tide, first part of the income. And right as I was starting to pull up to the red line, I get a call from my best friend Brandon, and he's like, "Hey, if you're not here, you better get here." I'm like, "Okay, well, where is here?" And he goes, "Green line." I'm like, "Cool." I'm like 300 yards away, and as soon as I pull up, man, I'm telling you guys, it was planet Earth. It was unbelievable. There were just fish everywhere. There were birds everywhere. There were whales. It was nuts. It was so cool watching everything going on. It was wild. It was crazy. And the second we dropped in, the first two rods hooked up. Hurried up, got those fish in. Next rods in, those ones got hooked up. Just kept on getting fish after fish after fish. It was unreal. In fact, we got a really nice king, and actually heard of quite a few kings here caught today, but we got a really nice king while the line was on the surface. It was maybe 6 inches under the surface, and it was about a 20-pound king. So don't feel like you need to go deep for kings. They're on the surface when they're up and feeding too. It was unreal, and we finished up our 6-man limit pretty quick. It was very fun, but some really cool stuff that happened here today. I tried out a couple new spinners. The spin fish were on fire. In fact, the one that the gal got the really nice big king on was just pink and purple. The typical silver NFL, the nickel flame, was working. What's the other one? Of course, Misty River had 2 of those out. I put out one Mexican hat, and the other one is kind of like a Wonder Bread, but it's a glow blade from Yakima Bait. And I think, in my personal opinion, one of the most underutilized color for any fishery, whether it's bass, marlin, salmon, steelhead, anything, the most underutilized color is white. Now, I always tell you guys there's 3 ways to build a pattern. First, you need location. If you're not near the fish, I don't care if you have the best bait, best lure, you will never catch them. So whether that's the right part of the water column, right part of the ocean or the river, you got to be on fish first. Second is presentation. Are you trolling? Are you using 360s? Are you using triangles? So what presentation? Are you trolling fast, trolling slow? Are you vertical on them? There's a lot of different ways to present your bait or lure to the fish. And once you figure out number 2, the presentation, at that point, you can work on number 3, which is color and scent. So even though this color is extremely underutilized, you have to figure out 1 and 2 before you work on number 3. So with color and scent, the color that I put together this morning, the underutilized color that I think is for any fishery, for any fish around the world, is simple. It's white. So I put together a white spinner, and it was doing really well today. It caught most of our fish. It was getting bit, and it was in probably one of the worst spots in the back of the boat. So out in the ocean, some of the slowest rods are in the back of the boat because the first rods to the fish are the bow rods, and the really active, aggressive fish just swim up and nuke those first before they even see anything else. So here's take a look at that spinner. Right there. And it's even glowing on the camera. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Yep, but that guy right there was my best one, again with the dual dancing stingers back here, and white beads, just pearl white beads, glow blade, black and pink on there, and it's just a glow on the back as well. And that one was kicking butt today. It was really good. But as far as what we heard of in the river, I didn't hear much, but that's because we came in right as the tide was starting to push in. We had all of our fish. There were a bunch of boats right there at Buoy 10, which was a perfect place to be because we were just on the red line and green line, not very far away from Buoy 10, just about 4, 5, 6 miles. And so those fish on the flood are going to push in to Buoy 10, and those guys probably had a pretty good bite there right about 11 o'clock noon today. So hopefully that happened. The other part that I heard today, it sounds like we're actually getting into a few more kings. We finally got one today, a bunch of short kings, cute little short kings. And we got one really nice one, about 20 like I mentioned. And then I talked to Kevin Newell from Total Fisherman. He got 3 in one pass. So the kings are starting to show up, which is excellent. This is setting up really well for next week when the tides begin to drop. So as the tides begin to drop, those fish, those Chinooks, just start pulling in. Those falling tides is usually when we start seeing the Chinook pull in. And if they're starting to square up and get close to the mouth of the Columbia, that's good. That's really good. So hopefully that's the case here tomorrow. We crossed this morning on a max ebb, which you do not want to do. And it was a big tide swing, which you do not want to do. But it was probably, no, it wasn't probably, it definitely was the smoothest bar I've seen all season, for me at least. It was just absolutely gorgeous out there, out in the salt. It was flat calm. It was awesome. I love being out there today, and I'm glad that we were able to put it together even with a slow start. So tomorrow I'm probably gonna start a little bit later because it didn't seem to really matter. It seemed like I needed that tide moving to get those fish to actually be active and aggressive. So we're gonna start a little bit later and still head out to the ocean. I'll probably start fishing in the river here Monday or Tuesday is what I'm thinking. Once the tides start falling and those Chinook pull in. But what I'll do is right before I start fishing the river a lot more, I'll go through rod, reel, line, kind of where I'm planning to set up, where I'm planning to start fishing, and go over some gear, what color spinning fish I'm going to use, and what color spinners I'm going to put out, go over bumper lengths, just kind of do a rod, reel, line, lure tech tip for you guys to get ready for these better tides for the Chinook as they start to pull in. But again, man, I'm telling you, wow, there are a lot of coho out there, and that is great for us this year. Hopefully it means a great return for the coho. We'll see. Okay, that's about it. I'm gonna go make a couple more of those spinners. White works. Gee, what a surprise. All right, guys, time to get back into the boat. Later.